What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Shoot the Gap, the IDP Fantasy Football podcast here at Fantasy in Frames. I'm your host, Jorge Edwards. With me, I got the godfather of IDP, Mr. Gary Davenport himself. Gary, how you doing today, man?
Yeah, another sack and a half for 95 this past week. I believe he is whoever got that other half a sack should just give it to Myles Garrett. Because I'm sorry, if you get to the quarterback the same time Myles Garrett does, that sack belongs to him. That's just
Nice.
That's a rule.
So last week we were talking about the infamous video clip when they were playing the Packers, the Browns, that is, and then Myles Garrett was making fun of the offensive lineman and was like, "Jordan, run!" Did you see that? Yeah.
Yeah, I did, because you posted it to me on social media. Yes, I did see it.
Yeah,
and it is quite amusing. He's not the only offensive tackle that's probably done that.
Love it. JT, man, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing all right. Running around trying to get final stuff done for Christmas. Well, I'm one of those late people on everything, so I'm last second doing everything.
So because my sleep schedule, especially during the football season, is jacked up to what, my body decided to hey, Jorge, it's 2 a.m. Why don't you wake up and don't go back to sleep? And so then I had posted on my Facebook, yes, I'm a boomer, I still use Facebook, and Instagram, pictures of the front of my house with all the Christmas decorations. And it was great seeing your comment saying, "Do not show my girlfriend this, yada, yada, yada." That is a lot of decorations. I got a kick out of that. So
she's been begging me to put lights on the house for a couple years. I'm like, no. I'm like, you're trying to kill me, aren't you? You just want me to fall off the roof. So finally, like I said, I've got 75% off those lights that spread out over bushes. And I just got a couple of those and just put those up yesterday. So I was like, hey, I did something. Yeah. So I was like, don't let her look at yours, because she was happy I put any lights up.
Yeah, I entered our HOA competition, and the judging went from the 8th of December through tomorrow. So I looked around the neighborhood, I looked through my competition, and while I'm not concerned at the level of decorations, I think I did a good job. My concern is, though, we get a monthly magazine from the neighborhood, and you look at the decoration winners each and every year, and it's people who put a strand of lights on their around their door, or it is the laziest decorations possible. And part of me thinks maybe either one or two things. Either it's
the fix is in.
There is a fix going on where it's oh, well, I've known this person for years, and they're elderly, not to be ageist or anything, and we're going to give them the award because they tried. Or it's
you don't get the award for effort. You don't get for trying. You get it for Griswolding.
Damn, thank you. Exactly. Or
I don't have. I ain't got light one on my house this year, which is the first time, and I can't even tell you, because I'm not going to be here for Christmas. So why the hell am I going to spend 2 or 3 weekends putting lights up? Next year, and we also have an HOA Christmas light contest. Next year, you're going to be able to see my house from space by the time I'm finished. I already told the better half, I was like, don't ask me how much it costs, because you're not going to want to know the answer to that question.
I hear you. My other theory is that just not enough people enter the competition because they just don't care. But I care. I'm trying to win. I ordered a...
That's what winners do, Jorge. They win.
Thank you. I thought I was ordering a 12-foot Santa Claus inflatable, and it arrived, and instead of 12, it was 20, and I was like, oh god, okay. I tried to put it up in the front yard, and it's no, this ain't happening. Okay, so maybe
Jorge finally thought something. Jorge finally something was actually bigger than Jorge thought it was for the first time ever.
Exactly.
Last time it was totally the other way. He was like, nah, 20 feet, gotta be. It showed up 4 foot tall.
Exactly. We got some comments in the chat here. We got 3P1C Fail, aka Epic Fail. What's going on? Got Sean in the chat. I'm surprised he says, hey guys, and Gary. I'm surprised that comment didn't come through, but he's being nice here. We got a question already. A tough question. Do you all trust starting Verse, or would you start Sweat, Highsmith, Simmons? It's a 6-point sack, 2-point QB hit, 1.5 tackle league. Currently playing Simmons over Jared Verse. So I
think I like
definitely
it.
I would not play Sweat. That is for sure.
No, I think versus too, because Seattle's right at the bottom of the league in sacks allowed. So I don't know that he's. So for me, it's either Highsmith or Simmons. And how Simmons has played this year. I mean,
right.
Caught a touchdown pass last week. That's
a
guy to take out the lineup, man. Although his house got robbed while he was playing the game. Did you see that?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
No, I did not see that.
Yeah, I saw that. I was like, of course you get a touchdown. It's the greatest day of your life as a D lineman, and you find out, oh, I got a touchdown, but someone stole my shit. Like, no good.
Yeah, something tells me he would trade that back in a second, but
well, the stuff's insured. He wants the touchdown.
I guess that's a fair point. Yeah. That was very cool to see. Big guy touchdown. We got the Roscoe 848. Welcome. He says, Highsmith, Benito, Pierce Jr. Choose one. IDP 123 scoring. So my pick, who Gary you wrote about for one of my defensive lineman plays. He's my ceiling play, and even though he could probably be my floor play, also
he was one of my plays last week. So yeah.
Yeah, he will be discussed, Roscoe 848. So stay tuned. We will get to our plays and fades, which for those who are tuning in for the first time, at Fantasy and Frames, are doing things a little bit different for both the offensive side of the ball as well as for the defensive side of the ball. We're not just going to give you plays and fades or starts and sits. We're going to give you options because at this point of the year, injuries are taking hold everywhere, especially in defensive circles. So we're going to give you a floor play. We're going to give you a ceiling play. So a steady play, an upside play, and of course a fade. So you all can, depending on your situation, whether you're projected to lose by a lot or you're right there neck and neck, you can decide which player to go with. So we're giving you options, and that's who doesn't like options. Jamie in the chat. Well, Jamie's already started already, so he's probably at the strip club. Yay, Jamie. This is going to sound weird, and we're jumping off the rails already when I'm about to say this, but part of me wants to spend the day with Jamie next time, the next expo. Just
okay.
No, I want to see. I want to see what it's like.
Spend the day together.
Yeah, I just want to see
in the sauna.
Yeah, I did not say that. I'm just saying I want to be with Jamie, just a normal Wednesday or Thursday, just to be so Jamie, what's your Thursday or Wednesday like? And just live in the life of Jamie Perrout and go through his routine.
Have you been to the expo? There are no normal days at the expo.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. All right, guys, let's get into some IDP news and notes, shall we? All right, let's get. Let's see the Roscoe 848. He says, "Can trust one." Jay Williams, assuming Gray is out this week, sleeper, dual eligibility. That ties into one of the questions here for IDP news and notes. We saw last week Cedric Gray suffered a concussion in the fourth quarter versus Kansas City, putting his availability in doubt versus KC. This is for you, Gary. Cody Barton week? Huh? Maybe?
No, probably not. I think a lot of that's the role that they have Barton playing, though. I don't think it's totally that Cody Barton sucks. I just think they've got him away from the line of scrimmage a lot. So as far as Williams, that's a question that's going to need to be answered later in the week. But even then, man, it's hard this late in the season. I know we all wanted James Williams to be a thing back in September, but it's December. And if you're playing this week, you got to win. So,
yeah.
That feels like in case of emergency, break glass play, especially since what's Kansas City's offense going to look like with Gardner Minshew? So I'm not loving it.
Right. We got Philip in the chat with a nice donation. How you guys feeling with Shahida BTJ? JT is going to answer the offensive questions as opposed to the offensive questions. Well, he can answer both. How about that? The mean questions and then the offensive only questions. But Philip, thank you very much for the donation. We truly appreciate that. Sean agrees with you. I think Barton sucks. You know what?
Oh, I know Barton sucks. I mean, there's no think about it. It's a scientific fact. It's like
you will never you will never hear me slander Cody Barton because Cody Barton was my IDP only Dynasty League MVP back in 2023, and I will always be appreciative for
Sucks.
that. Well, whatever. See, you're saying it. I'm not saying it, so that's okay. So let's get into some recent news. Josh Metellus, he had apparently shoulder surgery a few months back. He's gone on IR today, end of season, for the same shoulder he had operated on. Yeah, that's always great to hear when you think about a box safety who's
more
valuable.
Dead defensive backs. It's a good week for those.
Yeah. Jay Ward is in line to be the next guy up there for Minnesota, but given the fact that Metellus has been playing more free safety as of late, as opposed to being closer to the line of scrimmage only, if Ward kind of slides into what Metellus has been doing, I'm not saying like he's just going to pick right back up where Metellus was, because Metellus was kind of on the downswing for a little bit. We've actually been seeing Harrison Smith playing a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. So, these safeties in general for Minnesota have been kind of disappointing, and so it sucks. Hopefully we'll Gary's IDP waiver wire article, which you can go check out over at fantasyandframes.com, has a lot of good options there for you to look at in terms of defensive backs to pick up off of the waiver wire if you are a Metellus manager. So just something to think about. And of course, we got our IDP plays and fades coming out tomorrow because we do have a couple matchups for the Thursday night game. Going to some more news here. And my coworker, Marissa, she is a diehard Steelers fan. All 22 members of her immediate and family. Yes, there are 22 members of her family, cousins and siblings combined, are huge Steelers fans. My wife and I went to her wedding a few weeks back, and they actually had the DJ for the Steelers perform at the wedding. It was pretty sweet. Everybody came out in Renegade.
Yeah, I was going to say, they just play Renegade over?
They played on loop.
Over
yeah,
over
exactly.
the whole time.
And endless. But you know what? I would be okay with that if they did. But needless to say, she is pissed off about this, and this referring to TJ Watt getting his lung punctured Tyrod Taylor style during acupuncture last week at the team facility, no doubt. So JT, of course, this is a great opportunity to fire up Nick Herbig, one of your guys, right?
Yep, absolutely. Herbig is come through whenever he's been, whenever TJ's been out. He almost had a huge play on the Monday night game. Oh, just barely, just stepped away from a huge sack he almost had. I think he's a better matchup this week. I like him. There's going to be a lot of offense in this game, which means I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities for the defensive guys to hopefully get home. So I like this matchup for Herbig. I would trust playing him now that we know TJ is likely to not play again.
Check his status. I think Herbig was a DNP today too, but I mean, it's Wednesday, so it doesn't really matter, but I don't believe he practiced.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on him. I know Steelers are big for, especially guys that are a little more veterans. They tend to play a little more. They don't have a problem letting guys sit on Wednesdays. They've done it a lot, so I'm not as worried about it. But you're correct. Definitely keep an eye on it.
For all I know, it was an estimated because they played Monday, so it might have been an estimated walkthrough anyway. So it doesn't really, Friday is what, but keep an eye on it.
We got Moggs in the chat. What's going on, Moggs? We got Badger in the chat. Badger asking Herbig or Highsmith. Gary,
Highsmith.
Okay, there we go. Boom.
Well, he's healthy. I mean, if Herbig is dinged up,
I like Herbig, and if you don't have Highsmith, go with Herbig. But if you've got both of them, I go with Gary. I think you play Highsmith over Herbig first.
All right. So Roscoe bringing up some news that I just recently found out, and it was like, wait, what? How did I miss this? The recent sensation for the Tennessee Titans, Kevin Winston Jr., injured last week.
Dead.
On IR officially. He is dead. Yep. Not even on IR. No, he's dead. He's gone.
He's dead.
Nothing.
The services are in a couple of days.
Good to know. Sean says there was a hamstring injury.
Oh, I don't like that.
That does not sound promising.
I don't like the H word.
Well, then you're not going to like the. You're not going to like.
As a Devontae Adams manager, I flip and hate it right now.
Well, you definitely are going to hate this A word. and not what some of you dirty minded.
I've been
people
called
are
that
thinking.
A word so many times.
Not that A word either, but
which A word are you talking about, Jorge? You're still back in the sauna, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. Anterior. Anterior is wow. Anterior is a word. I also don't like cruciate ligament coming after it, referring to a torn cruciate ligament or ACL for Micah Parsons this past Sunday. You could see it's almost like when he was running to get Bo Nix, his leg kind of caught up in the dirt.
He planted funny, and that was
it just was. It was horrible. And, not to say that like I had a role in that because God forbid, I was filling out my, list of jerseys I wanted to get. Right. So I have like my offensive players here. And then over here, I have my wall that I'm building of IDP players. And then the first one I ordered was Micah Parsons. I'm just like, okay, cool. I'm going to set the tone here. And then, next thing you know, he tears his ACL and you're just like, I'm just going to hold off to the end of the season before I start picking players because that's
one of your offensive guys tore his ACL too. What the hell, Jorge?
Yeah, and I just put this up recently, because of the holidays, the red and the green, and I wanted to get Mahomes, but no, Mahomes is also
the wide receiver's been hurt a lot of the year. Puka's been great. Only one of the 4 players out of those 4 behind you have returned. Oh. Well, that's worth. That might be the worst one of the bunch. He's been non-existent right now. He's in witness protection.
So all the fantasy managers, all the hate you have, send it my way because apparently
if Jorge puts a jersey on a wall with the guy's name on it, don't draft that dude.
Yeah, I mean, there's Devontae Adams over here. There's James Daniels. There's Mike Evans. Jamar Chase is up there, and then I got Justin Herbert. So a couple have survived for now.
Wow. But have any of those guys not gotten hurt this year?
I don't think Chase has gotten hurt. I don't recall.
He just lost his quarterback.
Yeah, right. But still leads the league in targets, which is amazing. But yeah, so anyhow, lining up in Parsons' place is Kingsley Enagbare. Yeah, there is no trend in any advanced metric to even begin looking at like upside for this guy, let alone recommending him in the second round of your fantasy football playoffs. That's, it's times like this that I wish like Lucas Van Ness would have panned out because but for X, Y, and Z, that has not been the case. We already talked about Cedric Gray suffering the concussion. Tremaine Edmonds was designated to return from IR for the Bears a couple days ago, and since being activated, he had a 21-day practice window to see whether or not he'll come back this season. So far this week, he has been limited, though, in practice. Gary, I'm going to throw this to you. Who should managers try and go pick up off of the waiver wire in the meantime from Chicago at linebacker?
It's been DeMarco Jackson who's been playing most of the snaps as the LB2 opposite. Last week, 2 weeks ago, when TJ Edwards was in his first game back, he played, I think, 60-something%. DeMarco was on the field for every snap, wore the green dot. Last week, that flipped. Edwards, which I expected it would once Edwards was fully healthy. Now he's the number 1 linebacker. But Jackson was still out there, I want to say 70% of the time. Tackle numbers weren't great, but he had an interception and a sack, which saved it was a nice fantasy day for managers that started him, including me. I think you got one more week of Jackson out of you, but to me, it sounds to me like the Bears are gearing Edmonds up for the playoffs because unless they completely fall apart, even if they don't win the NFC North, they are going to make it to the postseason. So I don't expect him to be ready for this week's rematch with the Packers, not after a month out.
Right. No, that makes sense. All right, that's going to do it for news and notes. And, of course, if there's anything breaking that happens between now and Sunday, you'll find out about it at the Fantasy and Frame Sunday pregame show that we have every week and have had every week all season from 9 until noon Eastern. Let's get into a very short segment of Money and Mirage, and, boy, I'm looking forward to this. So, JT, I'm sure, being in the circles of IDP over your, fantasy football analyst career, you've heard of the godfather of IDP, Gary Davenport, right? You've heard of John Norton, both of them over at Football Guys. That put out a lot of work over there. Shout out Joe Bryant, one of the class acts, one of the biggest class acts in the fantasy football space, putting together a great team. And this week, both of these gentlemen are taking on each other in the Kings Classic Butkus division, which is a offense and IDP combo league. Some of the biggest names in IDP taking place in this competition and this league yearly. Gary put it together a few years ago, and we are truly appreciative of him doing that. So, JT, because obviously somebody's going to be biased here, but I'll ask him later. JT, Money or Mirage? Gary will kick John Norton's butt in the second round of the Kings Classic Butkus division. Is that money?
I think that's money. That's got to be money all the way, right? He's ready to go. He's got the team prepped.
Why are you jinxing me?
He's ready to dominate. He's ready to dominate.
Let's
go.
Stealing, jinxing.
Come on, you can do it, Gary.
The mummy's curse don't have the kind of power that
I'm not even actually trying to curse it now. I feel like I am. Damn it. I didn't mean to.
Yes, that's true, Sean. Guru and the Godfather. John and I do a column together every week of Football Guys.
So basically what I'm hearing is that John slipped JT a few bucks to put the hex on Gary.
Oh, that's
if I'm the good luck, and Gary wins, I need to get up on that list.
I don't know if Norton's giving money to a Steelers fan, because Norton's a Bengals fan. He lives down that neck of the woods.
Sean says in the chat, Gary should be fine as long as Jeffrey Simmons is catching touchdowns.
Amen to that, brother. From your lips to God's ears.
Gary, since putting together the Butkus division, can you speak a little bit to just the importance it has in the IDP space for all our content creators out there, and just how the Kings Classic, for some of those people out here, there are different leagues within the Kings Classic for offense and whatnot. Can you maybe speak to a little bit about like just what makes the Kings Classic awesome, and then what made you decide to push for having an IDP division?
Before there was a Fantasy Football Expo, there was the Kings Classic. That's how everything started, was Bob Lung put together. I mean, it wasn't even 14-team leagues then. It was 2 12-team leagues, the Blanda division and the Jim Brown division. We all got together at the Pro Football Hall of Fame and drafted, which, I mean, if you're a fantasy football creator and you're literally doing that thing you love at the greatest shrine to professional football there is, that's kind of cool. Even for dorks like us, it's kind of cool. And then we'd go take over Buffalo Wild Wings and misbehave for a few hours. That morphed into now the expo, of course, is like 4 days of bacchanalia where everyone just goes off the chain. And it's fantastic. And it's my favorite weekend of the year. But the King Classic is still a huge part of that. So from the jump, I was on Bob Lung to give IDP, hey, man, where's the IDP League? How about an IDP League? And Nate Cheatham also played a big role in that because he helps Bob a lot with expo setup and behind-the-scenes stuff. And he was in his ear, too. So once Nate was actually the one who kind of talked him into it, but Bob said he would only do it if I would run. So, of course, I said yes. And since then, it's an incredibly competitive league. The IDP scoring is I broke some stuff when I created it. And it's fantastic every year. And it ain't going to be easy this weekend. Norton, he's the first team to make it with the numbers. Now there's a 7th playoff team based on points, top 6 based on record, and then the highest scoring team remaining gets in. Just knocked off the number 2 seed, our own IDP Hunter. Sorry, Steve. And his team, the reason he was 6-8 in the regular season is that he got hit hard by injuries in kind of the middle of the year. Now it's gotten healthy. I was the lowest scoring team that won last week, so I got my work cut out for it. But that's all right, because my own team is coming together. They're going to rise up. Yes, I don't have the same starting quarterback I had to begin the season. Yes, my RB2 is dead. Yes, my wide receiver 1 also dead. My linebackers suck. My tight end, Dalton Schultz, not the guy I drafted to be my starter. My defensive backs, I couldn't even tell you who they are because they're defensive backs, so what the hell do I care? But my edge rushers have been balling out. My wide receivers finally got healthy. Plus, I picked up Michael Wilson off the waiver wire. Daddy love you. And I'm gonna give it my best shot. If nothing else, I've made the semifinals all 3 years, at least as far as the semifinals. All 3 years that the Buccos division has lasted, I made it to one championship game. I'm the only manager in the league to make the playoffs all 3 years it has existed. And I'm the only manager in the league who has won a playoff game all 3 years it has existed. So, plus I'm going to win the championship this year and show up decked out with a belt and talk just mad smack for like 12. The entire awards presentation ceremony is going to, which we do have awards for everyone.
Hey, can I induct you? Can I be like the MC announcing you as you enter the room?
Like if you want, sure.
I would be honored. I'll do it up really well too. Like I will.
Oh, we need the Ric Flair music. It's got
the music will be there. I'll even wear a suit and be like Michael Buffer from back in the day. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I would truly be honored if you pull that. So what I'm hearing from everybody here is that this is a money statement. So Gary,
at least Leo's not going to win the damn thing again.
Oh my God! Yeah,
he's like he's a robot. He's an android from the future.
He is like Data from Star Trek, which for those who get that reference, good for you. Good for you. Let's say Sean says they don't call him Humble Gary for nothing. And it's like, yep, there we go.
Sean's just mad because he played in a league with me where I won, what was it, 7 straight championships?
Yeah, I so just there's a Football Guys IDP league that I took on Gary in the first round. Let's just say 150 points later, Gary, that was the gap between us. Gary is definitely moving on to the next round there. So good luck against Sigmund Bloom.
Yeah, I'm going to need it.
Yeah. But yeah, no. All right, folks, let's get into some of our special IDPs for week 16. All right, so folks, we're going to give you a floor play, a ceiling play at the linebacker, defensive lineman, and defensive back position. Let me get us started here, and this is kind of interesting because I think you can make the argument that these are both floor plays and that these are both ceiling plays. And so I'll start with let's see, Roscoe 848. You were asking about which edge rusher you should throw into your lineup. Well, one of the options you mentioned was James Pierce Jr. of the Atlanta Falcons, Fantasy Pros ECR DL27 going to Arizona. The Cardinals are 5th in terms of most sacks allowed on the season since week 12. Okay, week 12. Jacoby Brissett has been sacked 13 times. Can you imagine that? Like 13, double digits. You know, that is ridiculous. Unlucky 13. So that is not optimal. Since week 12, James Pierce Jr. is second amongst edge rushers in sacks and has a very high pressure rate. So you want to look at, you have Jalen Walker, you got James Pierce on the other side, but James Pierce, I was saying since the night he got drafted, where they gave up all the draft picks to the Rams to go get him, doing all the pre-draft scouting, like I loved everything about James Pierce. When they said that we made the trade and they gave up all those picks, it made me it channeled my inner Les Snead and say, F them picks, like get James Pierce, because he out of Tennessee, I believe, was one of the top prospects there at the edge rusher position. So James Pierce there, Roscoe 848. Oh, yes, I got it right. The Roscoe 848. Yes,
he's got at least one sack in, I believe, half a dozen straight games.
Yeah.
That's not easy to do.
Nope. Gotta love it. So he is my ceiling play. My floor play is Chase Young, ECRDL 20 versus the Jets this week. Brady Cook, he had his first start this past week versus the Jaguars. Brady Cook, since week 12, amongst all quarterbacks, okay, he had the highest pressure to sack ratio by a far margin. It was like 40%. Whenever he was pressured, he was taking a sack. Meanwhile, since week 12, Chase Young, amongst all edge rushers, has 14 total pressures. He's been on a tear, tallying 3 sacks in at least the past 4 games. He's posted 4 tackles for a loss in that time period, which is top 5 amongst defensive linemen. and the Jets have allowed the third most sacks on the season this year. So, Brady Cook's propensity for taking that sack, and then the Jets just not being able to block. And Chase Young by far is the most active, if you want to call that for lack of a better term, edge rusher for the Saints. Look for him to provide a good floor for you this week. And so for my defensive lineman floor, Chase Young, ceiling, James Pierce. But here's the thing. I could very easily say James Pierce's floor, it could be a floor play also and a ceiling play. So definitely high on James Pierce this week, as well as Chase Young. Gary, who are your floor and ceiling plays at defensive line?
Floor, I'm going to go with Andrew Van Ginkel. I like the improvement that I saw from the Minnesota defense last week. And again, you're looking for floor. Van Ginkel has demonstrated that with some decent tackle numbers in the past. And while the Jonathan Grenard, Dallas Turner rotation on one end of the line has kind of swung back and forth, like 2 weeks ago, it was mostly Turner. Last week, it was Grenard, and he had a good game and looked like the guy that thought we were drafting back in August. Van Ginkel has kind of remained a constant on that end of the line, and I expect, at the very least, you can never guarantee a sack, but it's a good matchup. And I figure, you're going to get the 3 or 4 tackles that sometimes from a defensive lineman, that can be the difference. You don't, especially this time of year, the last thing you want is the dreaded IDP donut. For my ceiling play, I'm going to go with the 3rd overall pick in the 2025 NFL draft in edge rusher Abdul Carter of the New York Giants, going up against the Washington Commanders. Had easily his best game as a professional this past week with 7 total tackles and a sack. It's the 2nd straight game that he's had a sack. And it seems like after the kerfuffles earlier in the season, because apparently Abdul don't necessarily like to show up to meetings as much as some people do. And NFL coaches tend to get pissed off if you don't show up at all for the meeting. It seems like maybe the light bulb has come on a little bit and he's understanding it's time to be a professional. And again, this is a guy the Giants thought enough of to draft 3rd overall. This is a guy just about everyone regarded as the top edge rusher prospect in the draft. So he's having a little bit of a light bulb moment ahead of an excellent matchup with the Commanders. I think he makes it 3 in a row and gets another sack in week 16.
Was it confirmed that the whole, watching inappropriate stuff in a team meeting was just like a rumor?
I think that was just something they made up on the internet, although I want to believe it. I think it was honestly the truth is that he just overslept and didn't show up.
I mean, that's a heck of a cover-up story. Let's make something that's a little bit more tame than he slept through a meeting. I know he was caught watching porn in his I feel like that's the wrong direction to go from a PR standpoint.
Swipe right, swipe left. Swipe right.
Exactly.
They're talking about defensive backs. I don't need to know any of this. Whoa, boobies.
Exactly. JT, who is your floor and ceiling plays for this week?
I talked about Jeffrey Simmons last week. Obviously, we talked about him just briefly earlier in the show. He's been tearing up. He's D lineman 10. I think even though his ECR is that high, people still get a little weary about starting D tackles sometimes in leagues that aren't start D tackle leagues. But he's shown you got to have him in your lineup. He's a must play. The floor is absolutely there. He's got 4.5 sacks in the last 5 games. Also 6 or more tackles in each of the last 3 games, which you just love to see from an interior guy. And then, like Gary said, you might get lucky and he catches another touchdown pass like he did last week. Chances are long of that happening, but he's just been extremely solid, one of the best defensive players in the league. And again, I say it because it should be a absolutely why are you not playing him, but there are still people out there who get little iffy about playing defensive tackles in non-D tackle leagues, but he is as good as anybody on the D line at this point. His floor is there. Those, he's a D tackle, you might score me 0 days. He's not been doing that at all. So I think he is an absolutely outstanding floor play.
Nice. And then who do you got for your ceiling play?
So I'm going Greg Rousseau for the Bills. He's ECR D lineman number 27 going against Cleveland this week. Cleveland, one of the worst offensive lines in the league. Sanders got sacked 5 times last week by the Bears. He's been sacked 10 times in the last 3 games. This is a great spot for him to get home once, maybe twice, and maybe get a sack fumble, something like that. So I like the ceiling play on him. I think there's a chance that he ends up having a pretty big game. The Bears are not known for their defensive ends, and they still were getting home constantly against Sanders. I think the Bills are going to have some success up front on defense this week.
Whatever.
Love it. Well, you just can't.
I just feel like at this point, I'm not even trying to take shots at Gary. I just am. It's just like that. It's like subconsciously, I'm just doing stuff now.
I hope Aaron Rodgers gets turf toe or genital warts or something.
Genital warts. Wow, we got that. We covered the entire spectrum. Turf toe to genital warts. Fantastic.
Now I hope
he's
he
like something. Gary's just like something happened to him, please.
Questionable genital warts.
Sean, you said last week we went from talking about Spice Channel to hip hop, and we had a wide range of topics to talk about on Shoot the Gap. I think we've just taken this to a whole other level. If you're in the chat there, Badger's asking, how would you rank the following: Chase Young, James Pierce, Abdul Carter, Jeffrey Simmons?
Is it Chase Young or Byron Young? That's actually information.
That's a very good point. Badger, if you could throw that in there, if it's Chase Young or Byron Young in this discussion. Sean says, you guys are the bar. Thank you very much.
The bar is low.
Brow, in terms of, he says Chase Young. So yes, Chase Young,
okay.
Pierce. Yeah. JT, let's start with you. How would you rank these people?
Ooh, like I said, I just think Simmons is playing fantastic. I got to have him in lineup. I'm probably going right now. I'm going Simmons, Young, Carter, Pierce.
All right, Gary, how would you go?
Simmons, Pierce, Young, Carter.
All right, I would go Simmons, Pierce, Carter, Young. So, there we go.
Well, to start Simmons at second spot, no help at all. That's
two out of 3 we went Pierce. Right? You went Pierce second, right? So
yeah, Pierce probably gets the second. I could have moved him up ahead.
That Arizona,
so, yeah,
the Cardinals have been terrible protecting Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, you're probably.
I'm with you on.
I'm with
you on Simmons. You can't. Jeffrey Simmons has to be in your lineup right now.
I'm changing my mind. I think you're right. I think you go Pierce if you're going for a second guy. I think you're right. I think I could switch that up. Instead of going Pierce last, I'll go Simmons, especially for this week. Pierce, Young, Carter.
There we go. Thank you very much for the question there, Badger. Let's get into the linebacking position here. We saw, and I'll start us off here, Bobby Okereke. We did see the return of Darius. Is it Mousa? How do you pronounce his last name, Gary?
I've said it Mousa, but I'm not entirely sure because I don't watch Giants football because they suck. So I haven't really heard the broadcaster say it. Just, I don't know, call him DM. You want to slide into the DMs.
Nice. Well, we'll go with Muasau, and we'll see how badly I pronounce that. We saw him return to the lineup after being injured for a while. He didn't supplant Bobby Okereke in terms of total defensive snap share, but he was right up there with 83%, had a tackle efficiency of 16.3, 8 total tackles, which, again, per PFF, not bad, but good, efficiency there. He only played 18.2% on first downs. So that's why I would recommend this week Bobby Okereke versus the Minnesota Vikings here as my ceiling play. We know that the Vikings would like to run the ball with Aaron Jones a lot. While I expect this to be a good matchup, passing the ball for Minnesota, I think the bread and butter is going to be on the ground. And let's face it, one of the things that both of these quarterbacks for this game like to do is scramble. So again, more opportunities to get to the quarterback, let alone to the running back. So I just love what his matchup is this week. So definitely a ceiling play, but you can also put him as a floor play. And the more I keep looking at my floor play, the more I keep thinking maybe he is more the ceiling play, but a stable ceiling as opposed to like hoping for boom or bust. Jermaine Pratt, last week, 10 total tackles, a tackle for a loss, just been locked in. I know, a lot of people out there in the IDP space were hoping that Jalen Carley's, he was the preseason darling. He's going to be the guy who takes over for EJ Speed. He's going to.
I never said that.
Well, some, I said some, not all. Some.
Oh, I said it.
Oh.
I wanted him and James Williams, man. They had DB eligibility with some providers who didn't want the loophole. Everybody loves loopholes. We didn't get no loopholes. The biggest loophole guy is dead. Travis Hunter, also dead. Dead. Just dead.
I like how we go from like alive human beings to just injured. To no.
Hey, you're either playing, questionable, or dead. That are the only three. That is how injuries work.
Fair enough. Okay. Okay, cool. So again, Bobby. Anyhow, so everybody was expecting Carley's to at least make some dent for these linebackers, but it's very clear that Jermaine Pratt is the LB2 there in Indianapolis, and again going against a run-heavy team like the San Francisco 49ers, who have been seeing an increase in usage of Brian Robinson Jr., which again, if you're playing Brian Robinson Jr., who's less elusive than Christian McCaffrey, that's a great opportunity for these inside linebackers to tally up solo tackles and total tackle numbers. So really excited about both of these people. Both good floor plays, but I'm going to give the edge of the ceiling to Bobby Okereke just because Darius Mousaw is back. There could be some eating into some of the tackle opportunities there, which is why he's more of a ceiling play here. As opposed to a floor. Gary, who are your ceiling and floor plays for the linebackers this week?
The ceiling play is actually Muasau.
There we go.
I'm kicking myself because I may have had him on a certain roster earlier in the season and dropped him when he got hurt. Now I wish I had him. He led the Giants last week with 11 total tackles. Played 80% of the snaps. Like you said, they got a good matchup this week. I mean, at this point, it's week 16. You look at the waiver wire in any IDP league where you're starting more than like one guy at each position. It's picked over, especially at linebacker. But Moose's a guy who's there in a lot of leagues. And if you can get that and plug that in and you've got a hole at linebacker because, say, Cedric Gray got hurt, maybe your depth wasn't great because it's been a long season and you made some mistakes, bad decisions, and you overslept one day and forgot to submit waivers and whatever.
All that.
He might be the guy who can bail you out. My floor play, I'm gonna go with DeMarvion Overshown of the Dallas Cowboys. Did not have a big week last week. I think he had 7 total tackles. I think 3 of them were solos, although that did lead the team. The total tackles did. What stood out to me was that 93% snap count and the talk from the Cowboys just before the game that the training wheels are off. He's 100% healthy, which means he is going to – the Dallas Cowboys are finally, praise Jeebus, going to have an every down linebacker instead of the rotation from hell that we've endured for the first 15 weeks of the season. Overshown at times looked fantastic last year. Run around like his hair's on fire. He's making sacks and picking off passes, and it was awesome. And then he got hurt, and because, we can't have anything nice.
Exactly.
I don't know that we're going to see quite that kind of explosive play. I mean, he's still working his way back from an ACL tear. But I do think he has a decent matchup. And again, he's a guy who's going to be out there essentially all the time. And at this point, once you're working down the rankings, whether it's, toward the end of your bench or it's on the waiver wire in your league, you're just looking for snaps. Because snaps equal opportunities for production unless it's Cody Barton, in which case he can play every snap all season long and still suck.
Yeah, I'm not going to say he sucks because I love Cody Barton for winning me a championship.
You just said he sucks. You said it. I heard Cody Barton and sucks in the same sentence.
Yes, that is true. They were in the same sentence, weren't they?
That's what I heard.
All right, fair enough.
It's on the internet now. You can't take it back.
Once it goes viral, it's viral. And there you go. The fact that Cody Barton will go viral probably turns your stomach.
No,
JT,
I'm not the one he's going to send hate tweets to because you liked him before now.
he won me a title. Well, you said the exact same thing last week. If Cody Barton wins you a title this year, he's one of your guys, right? Well, he won me a title. That's why he's one of my guys. So
I have him in buckets. I'm not going to start him, but he'll blow up on the bench just to make.
And then John will advance to the final.
So that I break a remote control Sunday that doesn't belong to me because I'm at someone else's house. I
just want you to scream Jorge when you're thinking about Cody Barton, him going off on your bench. I want that to happen. It's like Captain Kirk.
You want me to scream your name while someone goes off on my bench?
Kind of like Captain Kirk.
He's back in the sauna again. Jorge's in the sauna. Get your mind out of the sauna, Jorge.
Oh my God!
Bad things happen in the sauna, man.
I'm just going to throw it to JT. JT, who are your floor and ceiling plays at linebacker?
For this week, my floor play is going to be Alex Anzalone, linebacker 45. We know Jack Campbell's the man there. He's had an unreal season. He's obviously must start, so that's not even within question. But Anzalone, if you're got some injuries, you're searching around trying to figure out if he's been sitting on your bench all year, he's not a terrible play if you need somebody this week. He's got 6 or more tackles in 5 of the last 7 games. Steelers, as we know, are going to run the ball, and they've been throwing the tight ends a ton. Anzalone has 4 pass breakups in the last 2 weeks, so there's a chance he's going to get an opportunity for a few more of those this week, guarding the tight ends. So I like him. I mean, he's not a sexy play. He's not going to win in your league, but if you need help at linebacker, like I said, 6 tackles or more, 5 of the last 7 games, he's been just a really nice floor play. So I'm on Anzalone for that reason. My ceiling play is a guy one of my favorite players who's gotten a ton of hate recently, and that's Nick Bolton. He's LB 15 this week, goes against Tennessee, who's found their running game here recently with Pollard. Nick Bolton, for all the ups and downs of the overhype, the underhype, whatever you want to say for what's gone on with him the last couple of years, he has 11 tackles in 3 straight games. He has been really good. You add in a sack or an interception or a forced fumble in with those 11 tackles, and there's a chance he blows up and wins you a week. So I really like Bolton this week going against Tennessee. I've got him in a bunch of teams. I need him to have a huge day. If he can get that double-digit tackles again and then throw in a big play in there as well, either a sack, forced fumble, interception, like I said, he could have a monster week and win you a week. So I'm all in on Nick Bolton this week.
Very nice, very nice. Let's go now to the defensive back plays here. I'm going to go with my ceiling guy. He leads the New York Jets in box snaps since week 12. You look at all the safeties in the NFL who've played at least 20% of snaps over that period of time. And Gary, again, one of your guys off of the waiver wire article, which you can check out over at fantasyandframes.com, is 13th in box snaps amongst all safeties, referring to Malachi Moore. Last week, 9 total tackles, 6 solo, 3 assists. Going against the New Orleans Saints, since week 12 have allowed the 3rd most fantasy points per game to the safety position. So again, this is a great example of a ceiling play. Again, it's always hard to trust any person whose name is associated with the New York Jets, but the guy's been producing, and he's been finding himself in the right place at the right time. And the matchup versus New Orleans this week, it's looking pretty good. So I definitely like him as a ceiling play. My floor play is Geno Stone, who the past month, using Fantasy Pros IDP scoring, has been the DB4, averaging 14.8 points per game. Obviously, if you play an IDP 1, 2, 3 or big play scoring, those numbers go up. As I kind of look at the Fantasy Pros IDP scoring as like the half PPR to the offensive side of the ball. During this time period, Geno Stone, 20 solo tackles and 10 assists. So you always like to see those numbers where you see more solo tackles than assists. He has even a sack. He's pass deflection, interception. So there is a potential there for big plays. Jordan Battle does play a lot more box snaps than Gino, but Gino just has been a little bit more consistent in terms of tackle efficiency. They're right there neck and neck, actually. If you go back and you look, Gino Stone, the DB 4 overall, Jordan Battle, the DB 10, tied for 10th in points per game. So both of these guys are great. I just like a little bit more of the splash upside there for Gino Stone. So given his solo tackle efficiency, I'm going to put him as my floor play and Malachi Moore as my ceiling play. Gary, who do you have as a defensive back floor in ceiling play?
Floor, give me Malik Mustafa of the San Francisco 49ers going up against the Indianapolis Colts. Fully healthy again. He's another guy who looked great at times as a rookie last year and then tore his knee up. So he missed a chunk of the season to start the year, but he's back. He's 100%. And honestly, I'll do it just because I want a ticket to see what's going to happen on Monday night when Phillip Rivers plays quarterback again, because that's wild stuff, man. Grandpa out there just kind of shot putting the ball down the field, and it's working. They almost beat the Seahawks in Seattle. This is unbelievable to me. Ceiling, give me Dane Belton of the New York Giants. I believe over the last 3 games, he's 10th among safeties and fantasy points, quietly getting tackles, even though he's doing a lot better in the tackle column than Javon Holland is, despite the fact that Holland is the only safety in New York that plays 100% of the time right now. I like the matchup. He's going to be available in many more leagues than not. And you know me, I live and die by defensive backs that I grab off the waiver wire.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Sean is in the chat saying maybe the B and Jorge B. Edwards is for Barton. And thank you, JT. Jorge Barton Edwards is officially official. Appreciate that. Putting it out in the universe. JT, who do you got for your plays and ceiling and floor plays at defensive back?
Well, Gary finally got me back after I stole his hooker. Malik Mustafa was my floor play. Colts 30 rushes last week. They're going to probably hit that number again this week. Mustafa has been splitting the box safety snaps. He's over 50% with Brown. 10 tackles last week, 7 tackles in each of the previous 2 games. Just really nice floor there for him. You can count on consistent points right now. I think he should have a nice week against the Colts. As you saw, Amanwore playing in the box, monster game last week against the Colts. So I think you could get something similar there. My ceiling play is going to be Xavier McKinney, Packers going against the Bears. Right now, McKinney's DB 25. He is, the big knock on him has always been, he's playing too much deep safety to consistently play him week to week. Every time I've taken him out of my lineup this year, it's just burned me. So he is also seeing over 50% box snaps, which you love to see out of him, a guy with his talent and getting a few more snaps close to the line. He also almost had multiple picks last week. He had a chance for a few. He was an interception machine last year. He doesn't have quite the interception numbers this year that he had last year, but he's been right there. And so there's a good chance against Chicago that he turns around and gets one. He had 7 tackles the last time they played the Bears a couple weeks ago. Like I said, 3 pass defense, 7 tackles last week against Denver. Hasn't had an interception since week 9. I could see that changing. That's why I think he is a ceiling play this week. If he can get you that 7, 8, 9 tackles that he's gotten the last couple weeks, and he adds a pick in there, it's a huge week for you out of a DB that can win you the week. So I'm on Xavier McKinney this week for the Packers against the Bears.
I got to start Kevin Byard in that game. It makes me want to throw up.
It's like he was so good for a little while all the young guys were hurt, and then when all of them started coming back, and then they went and got Gardner Johnson, it's like he's just like he's still playing well, but for IDP purposes, he's just been getting no stats.
He had 130 tackles last year, and now he's turned back into like Tennessee Kevin Byard, where it's interception or nothing. I don't want that. I want the 130 tackle guy, but actually I want the 130 tackles and the 7 interceptions.
Man, when Brisket, or I always call him Brisker was when Brisker was out, Bird played awesome. He got all those box snaps. He was making all kinds of plays. And then when Brisker came back, and then they went and signed Gardner Johnson, who's also more of a box guy, it's moved Bird farther away. it's just really, it has really hurt him as far as IDP.
If I sit him, he'll have an interception. Sure as I can't.
He completely ceiling floor plays. He feels like the bottom of the floor or the ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
He feels like he is absolute going to be boom or bust. He either can have a monster game for you or get you 0 and you lose by 2 points. And you're like, oh, if I just would have had somebody who could have got a tackle, I would have won this week.
Bears, Packers. So yeah.
So it just came to my attention, or I just remembered rather, that Nate Markham, who used to be here on Shoot the Gap, who decided to say screw IDP, which I'm sure that's not what he's saying, but I'm going to put words into his mouth and get him in trouble. In the butt kiss division of the Kings Classic a few years ago, he stole your Bayard, if I'm not mistaken, in the draft. And here we go with JT, the co-host of Shoot the Gap now, is stealing your hookers. So you're just getting sniped by anybody who's a host here on Shoot the Gap. I find that kind of interesting. Don't you, JT?
Jorge, you told me off air that as officially as the co-host, we had to try to steal Gary's guys. That's what you told me. That was part of the game.
You can steal my guys, just don't steal my hooker.
Or your Bayard, apparently. So, but I digress.
I'm still more upset about the hooker, personally. I like her.
My God. Okay, let's get into our fades for the week. So this guy has, let's go back here to week 11. Week 11, a sack. Cool. Week 12, a sack. Cool. Week 13, 2 sacks. Week 14, a sack. Definitely on a sack hot streak here. And when it comes to the quarterback he was facing, the aforementioned Brady Cook last week, who had the highest pressure to sack ratio of the week and over the past 4 weeks. You know how many sacks he had last week, referring to Joshua Hines-Allen? 0. In fact, do you know what his stat line was? 2 tackles, 1 solo, 1 assist. In what should have been the easiest matchup for Joshua Hines-Allen all season long. And now he goes to taking on the Denver Broncos and Bo Nix, who has the 6th lowest pressure to sack ratio. The mobility is there for Bo Nix. So he is definitely my fade this week. And when you go back and you look at, some of his performances, referring to Joshua Hines-Allen, he's been bailed out by, the impact plays, by the sacks. Just 4 tackles here, 3 tackles there, 2 tackles last week. Like literally it's been sack or bust. Now, I got to find a better way for phrasing that, but you get what I'm saying. It has been an upside situation there for Joshua Hines-Allen. And this week, in a very difficult matchup, I'm definitely fading expectations.
He's going to bust your sack.
Somebody's, not mine, but somebody's. Let's go to your fade at defensive lineman, Gary.
This one hurts. I mean, it hurts because I got to start him too. Byron Young of the Rams against Seattle. I just hate that pass rush matchup against the Seahawks. It's a combination of good offensive line play out of the Seahawks, and Darnold just doesn't hold on to the ball. I mean, he gets rid of it. And Young has, after a fantastic start, cooled off. I mean, he still exceeded expectations by a million. And he'll probably get you a tackle or 2, whereas Hines-Allen has always been a big play guy. I don't know if Hines-Allen's, I doubt he's ever had a 50 tackle season.
Right.
Byron Young's will get you you're going to get a couple solos in a set, and you're probably not going to have a better option but to do the same thing I'm doing and roll him out there. I expect to be disappointed, especially since it's on Thursday night, and I hate Thursday night games. I just hate them. I never have any luck on Thursdays. So
note to self, any DFS information, do not listen to Gary. I hate Thursday night games also. They are you always expect the matchups to work in your favor, and it more looks like these guys are just like exhausted from the previous week, and it's just like it's more of like games of attrition than they are actual like prepared and well-rested football games.
Well, this week's is a hell of a matchup. I mean, there's some stakes going on in Seattle.
Right, exactly. Let's see. Mog's in the chat. Ayo, crying emoji. He is loving. He loves. Sacker Bust. Apparently, JT thinks is a great team name for fantasy managers.
No, it's not sack or bust. It's busting sacks, man. You're trying to win. You're not getting your sack busted. You're busting somebody else's sack.
There you
go.
go.
Jorge, I was answering Sean's team name. He said Coke and Hookers might be a good fantasy football team name.
Coker and Hookers.
Coker and Hookers. Yeah. Coker and Hookers. I mean, good fancy team. I was like, all right. I was like, that's what Gary's changing all his team names to next year.
Nice. All right. Linebacker fades. Wow. The guys on Shoot the Gap are going to, when I'm joining them tonight after the show's over. So I'm sure they're watching this and being like, so let me get this right, Jorge. You're pushing us back even further into tonight because you're talking about the content that we're talking about.
You know what? We'll bust their sack too. We'll bust however many sacks we got to bust.
Jamie and Sherwood.
Start nothing, won't be nothing.
That's right. Jamie and Sherwood. So speaking of starting nothing, solo tackles really becoming a rarity for him as the past month. He's only posted 15 solo tackles, so 25 assisted. So the tackle volume is there. I'm not going to try and take away that. The snap share has been that him and Quincy Williams both have 100% snap share in all three downs. So they're on the field all at the same time. What is really concerning, though, for this matchup is going against the New Orleans Saints, who since week 12, over the past month, rather, they are third fewest in points allowed to the inside linebacker position. And given the fact that it's no Kamara, no Devin Neal, Audric Estime is the next man up, something tells me that this running game for the New Orleans Saints is not going to be heavily emphasized, which means it's going to be more of a passing situation, and you're kind of taking the strengths there away from Jamie and Sherwood. And so therefore you're going to have a reduced tackle volume. And again, if reduced tackle volume is not good, then getting more assists than solos is definitely not good. So he is my fade for this week at the linebacker position. Gary, who is your fade at linebacker?
I'm processing because you just mentioned another guy I have to start this week in Sherwood, and now I'm not liking my chances against Norton nearly as much. No, Ernest Jones is fourth against the Rams. Again, it's a Thursday night game, like you said. It's going to leave a lot of people disappointed. There isn't a team in the league that's giving up fewer fantasy points per game to linebackers than the Rams, despite the fact that offense just marches up and down the field at will. Although, will they be able to without Devontae Adams is another question.
Right.
But no, I figure Jones is going to – if you can get 7-8 tackles out of Jones this week, count yourself lucky. I wouldn't be surprised to see 4 or
5. So it's funny that you mentioned that because the Roscoe 848 asks, any concerns with Ernest Jones' production on Thursday Night Football?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, a few.
Now, I have to see the rest of your linebackers to know whether I would consider actually sitting him. But in the leagues where I'm starting Jones, yeah, I'm kind of anticipating. And that's what I do. I mean, if it's a guy I got to start, you just have to anticipate, okay, I got to make up a few points somewhere else. So maybe I'll go with more of a ceiling guy at defensive back.
Okay, let's get into defensive backs. And with Kevin Winston Jr. being out.
Dead.
D-E-D, dead. I'm still going to say Amani Hooker is a fade here. I know your Hooker is
blasphemer. It's not my Hooker, that's JT's Hooker.
Touche. You look over the past since week 11. What was really impressive about him then was the fact that he got you 9 total tackles, 8 solo, 1 assist. But since then, it's been 2 tackles, 4 tackles, 6 tackles, 7 tackles, which again, it's okay. But like the upside with him has been like pass deflections. That which again, whoop-de-doo, a pass deflection. Depending on your scoring setting, that could be 3 points. It could be 1.5 if you're using Fantasy Pros IDP scoring. With the way that Kevin Winston is out, I don't know how they're going to be shifting alignments and usage for Amani Hooker. And if you go back and you look at his points per game average since week 12, let me pull it up here quickly. He is, let me just do Control F for those of you who don't know how to use that. That is a cool way to go about that. and finding people.
He's looking at porn. Stop looking at porn. We're doing a show, Jorge.
I wanted to channel my inner Abdul Carter.
He's trying to find a picture of JT's hooker is what he's doing.
Well, I found his name and his ranking. He has been the DB 72, averaging 6.8 points per game in Fantasy Pro scoring. So not exactly a vote of confidence for Amani Hooker this week. So he is my fade at defensive back. Gary, who is your fade at defensive back?
Shamari Connor in Kansas City, and it kills me because with the carnage, I mean, like every safety I have rostered is apparently dead now. So Connor would be the one that I'd look to. Oh, yeah, it'll be all right. Except they're playing Tennessee, and I know the Tennessee offense has been at least semi-competent the last couple of weeks, but I'm still not counting on Cam Ward throwing the ball to make my semifinal game viable. So, yeah, there might be better options available. There are probably better options available. Definitely better options available.
Options available. The Roscoe 848 asks other options. Wow, I say options one more time. I'm going to smack myself in the face. Other people available if sitting Ernest Jones would be Aziz Al-Shair, Barrett Carter, Alex Highsmith, or Cody Simon. Cody Simon, I believe, was injured last week.
Yes, Simon's hurt. I think he's concussion protocol, maybe.
Yeah,
so entirely sure. So it's essentially Al-Shair or Carter against Jones. I think I still go Jones. I just don't want to.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And this is not a situation where it's like start your studs or don't get cute, which those expressions I get, but then there are times where they don't apply. Ernest Jones has, by far, you have the Rams who are running the ball a lot more. There is on paper a pathway to success, whereas these other guys are kind of less.
Al-Shair's been garbage all season long, and Carter started out like gangbusters,
right?
And then tailed way off, and they got Miami with Quinn Ewers at quarterback. Oh yeah, they're going to generate a ton of offense Sunday.
Right, exactly. So yeah,
they're going to get A-Chain. They're going to get A-Chain killed just before the championship week.
I think you got to go Jones there. Al-Shair, he's been okay. He's been the floor play all year. Like he's getting you tackles, but not a lot every week. Last week he had 12, had one of his best games of the year, of course, against Arizona, but he's been really in that 5 tackle, 6 tackle range most of the season, kind of where he's at. And the problem is a lot of his tackles are coming as assists, as he actually has more assists than solos this year. So that's where he's at. I mean, if you're playing him, you just got to assume you're I just am looking for some kind of points. Ernest Jones, I think, is Al-Shair with just a little bit more upside, at least for me.
All right, folks. So that's going to do it for our plays and fades, ceiling plays, floor plays, and of course our fades for week 16. What's that?
I was back in the sauna, man.
The sauna. I should make a Fantasy and Frames Shoot the Gap T-shirt that says "Welcome to the sauna," and then everybody wears it.
That's fantastic. There you go.
Let's get to our last segment. Of course, before we do that, just remember IDP Plays and Fades here at Fantasy and Frames by Joe Harlow. You should be following at Joe, Joe Low, LOW 63 over on Twitter. Just fantastic work each and every week. His IDP Plays and Fades article will come out tomorrow morning over at fantasyandframes.com. Okay, let's get into Sack Lunch. So I'm not going to lie. I have completely lost track of who is ranking and scoring what and where and how much.
I'm winning.
Yeah, it's either you or it's or if it's Steve.
Steve's dead.
Steve's again.
He hasn't been on the show. It doesn't count, right?
Yeah,
he's out of here. I should be in the mix. I've got a.
Is Steve even real? Are we even sure that Steve?
Well,
exists?
He emails me or DMs me or messages me, whatever the one is. He sent me his names for the week in week 17.
That just could make you schizophrenic. That doesn't mean Steve's real.
This is true. But he did say that he was going to play Micah Parsons in 17, and obviously he switched the name. It's Abdul Carter. But anyhow, so one of the things that we do here at Shoot the Gap, if you're just tuning in for the first time, is that all season long, we were saying, okay, you are predicting a player that will at least get you 1 sack. If they get multiple sacks, you get a point per sack. If a linebacker gets you, inside linebacker gets you a sack, that's a 2-point bonus. If a defensive back gets you a sack, that is a 3-point bonus. I'm pretty sure I have been swinging for upside plays all year long versus stable floors, and that's bitten me in the butt. So, I'm going to stick with where we're at, and I'm taking a gamble here. I'm going for a 3-point play. I'm going for Nick Emenwari tomorrow night again versus the Rams. He leads all safeties. He leads all safeties in sacks, and then in terms of pressures, he's really high up there among defensive backs also over the past few weeks. So I'm going to go. I'm swinging for the fences here. I want that 3-point bonus. So give me Nick Emenwari here this week. Gary, who's your sack lunch for the week?
Well, I was going to say Brian Burns, but I can't remember if I used him or not. So that's my primary. I don't think I did. So I like Brian Burns a fair amount going against Washington. And it has been forever. He's been sitting on 13 sacks forever. He's overdue. It's time to break that. But you know what? I'm going to cast that aside because I'm not sure about Brian Burns. Right. I will go back through the receipts, and I will find out if I had used him. Instead, I am going to use a player that we have talked about quite a bit this evening. I'm going to go with rookie James Pierce Jr. of the Atlanta Falcons against the Arizona Cardinals. Make that 7 straight games with a sack, making a case for defensive rookie of the year honors. And honestly, if he can get to double-digit sacks, he might win it. I would say Schlesinger is probably the front runner right now, but it's hard for an off-ball linebacker to win awards. They just don't. Everybody likes sacks and picks and big plays.
Thought you were going down a different road when you first said sacks. So that's good to know that you didn't. Okay, JT.
Oh, some people like sacks more than others.
Fair enough. JT, who is your sack?
Especially in the sauna.
I feel like we've talked about him all night. I've talked about him a couple times, so I'm going with him tonight, and that's Jeffrey Simmons from Tennessee. Like I said, 4.5 sacks in his last 5 games. Going up against KC, no Patrick Mahomes out with the ACL. KC, surprisingly for a team that used to never give up sacks, has given up 3 or more sacks in 7 of the last 9 games this season, and now you have no Mahomes. They also just gave up 5 sacks last week. And now Gardner Minshew comes in. Now I love me some Minshew mania. He likes to play hero ball. He likes to run, try to hold the ball and make plays as much as possible. I think that turns into sacks. I like Jeffrey Simmons getting a sack this week for sure. And as I said, I also think there's a chance he gets more than one. So I think it's just a great play this week for Tennessee going against Kansas City, who is reeling a little bit after the Mahomes injury, and now looking like they are out of the playoffs.
The offensive line's down both tackles, aren't they?
Yeah, and then the O-line's just been beat up as can be. So I think this is a great spot for Jeffrey Simmons to have a big week.
All right, folks. Well, that's going to do it for Week 16 for Shoot the Gap. We will be back next week. But obviously, Christmas Eve is Wednesday, so we'll be doing our show on Tuesday. Same time next Tuesday, getting ready for championship week here. And of course, the following week, we'll do a little what have we learned in IDP in 2025, where the loser of the sack lunch competition will take a pie to the face.
Jorge.
Yep, I'm bracing myself already. I got to pick out which flavor. Anywho, good luck in your matchups this week.
Sauna flavor.
Wow. Oh, my God. Okay. Anyhow, so at IDP Godfather, you can check out all of his work at fantasyandframes.com and over at Football Guys and everywhere else you read football. Ask him any IDP questions you want at JT Orange or JT, me at Jorge B. Edwards. Stay tuned for those of you who are looking for information for the offensive side of the ball. Fourth and Frames is up next with myself, Nate Markham, Drew Scott, and Kyle Ziegler. You thought debauchery was here. Just stay tuned. Coming up next. Over on our YouTube.
A lot of sacks.
Here on X. Say that again?
I said a lot of sacks coming up.
4 at least. Okay, that's it. I'm done. You all have a good one. See you next week.